What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Paco Siller, and I'm here with my good friend and Adobe Live veteran, Mandy Celine. Mandy, how we doing today?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing great as well. Yeah, we're going to do some video editing. We're going to talk about an unhinged YouTube short, which I have gone a sneak peek to, so I'm very excited about this. It's going to be a fun live stream.
Yes, it's an interesting short. I will explain myself, I promise.
Okay, we'll give more context. But before we jump right into that, let me just get some quick shout outs. We are live on YouTube and also on Behance. So this is a live stream. Feel free to ask any questions. I am looking at the chat. I see we have Jack, we have Alex, we have Ray, we have Stian, we have Ray. So yes, thank you all for tuning in. If you have any questions, any comments, any concerns, please feel free to interact with us. This is a two-way street. That's why we go live, so we can interact with you all. And also, we got an Instagram right there, so make sure to give us a follow at adobe.ly/insta. And yeah, without further ado, Mandy, the floor is yours. This is your show, so let us know. Who are you, and what are we going to be working on today?
Well, I am a DP director based in London. I'm also an educator for Adobe. I've been doing this for years in one way or another. And today we're going to discuss one of my favorite people I work with is Maddie Moate, and she is a kids presenter here in the UK. She's on CBeebies, and we work on projects from time to time. She's great, and she's kindly letting me show this footage and explain myself. Basically, earlier this year we did a whole series based on carnivorous plants. And then a lot of the other stuff is quite planned. So we usually have a shot list. She comes from TV. She's great. But this one, she was like, "Could you make a trailer? No direction. Enjoy. I just need it in a day or two. Thank you." She needed it for YouTube Shorts, which is not my favorite platform, and basically, yeah, we made this if you want to see it.
Yeah, let's. So, can you show her YouTube channel real quick? So we can kind of get a context, or should we show the short
I
first?
can.
Okay. Yeah.
I need to pull up a Google tab that I did not think of preparing this ahead of time.
Oh, no worries. Yeah, so Maddie Moate, she specializes in educational, adventurous kids content. I also learned about.
Does.
Yeah, it's very
Sorry,
fun
continue.
stuff.
She does all sorts. She's like, I filmed.
If you're anything like me, then you'll love watching all of.
Let's pause it. Yeah.
So, for example, we filmed at the James Webb Space Telescope before it launched, and that was really cool. There was this famous boat called Bodie McBoatface that the British public
I
named.
remember that. That was the thing. It's they opened it to the public, right, to choose the name, and that's the one that it officially went for.
Well, yeah, they did rename it the David Attenborough and named the small submarine that's on it Bodie McBoatface. But don't leave naming conventions to the British public. It's going to be Thingy McThingy Face. That's just kind of a thing we do. But yeah, she just has a lot of educational, mostly science-based content, or she travels around the world talking about things. How to make bread in a volcano. This is the one we're highlighting today. We also, we did a whole thing on how glass is made. So I went to a glass factory with her, went to a paint factory, and she has a show on CBeebies. I do want to give a mention before we move further. She has a West End show this Christmas. I can't remember what theatre, but it is called, it's called A Curious Christmas based on her book. Had to remember that. And I did all her Curious Christmas shorts last year as well, which were fun. And she's also got a YouTube original somewhere there, I'm sure. So if you know or like watching people because you have children who are under the age of, let's say, 10, you probably know Maddie in some capacity, especially in the UK. But yeah, she's awesome. So we did so much of this.
Cool. Let's show the the YouTube short that you made, which
and then I'm
so
to
excited
myself.
for this. You have to explain.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's show it, and make it full screen and cool. Let's get this showing.
Look, that's me, Schubert. I used to just be like every other shrew in the mountain range, eating some stuff, walking on some stuff, but then it hit me. We can do better. We must uplift the other shrews. We could poop in luxury. And that's when I went on a quest. A quest for the perfect loo. Oh, excuse me. And it must come with the perfect... Oh, I'm so toasted. Snacks.
Oh, hello. Right, this is how it works.
So there we go.
So that's amazing.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Well, like I was given...
Shrew-loo.
Yeah, so basically we all collaborated with Kew Gardens, which is like a beautiful place here that it's stunning, lots of rare plants and all sorts. And doing a series on carnivorous plants. So we did a little bit about the Venus flytrap is in the video, the long form video we did. There was another one about a sticky plant that eats like other bugs that way. There was a plant that eats mice. But this plant eats poop, and that was the star of the show. So
this sounds very sustainable for both parties. You know,
it's great,
the mouse
and
gets
I actually
and
filmed
then
this
it
as
gets
well.
nutrition out of it. So
yeah,
very,
so
very
like
cool.
I filmed it too. So I kind of like knew I had to do a trailer very soon. Had no direction to go, so I knew I had all this footage we had filmed with this like toy shrew that was purely meant to be used to demonstrate how it sit on the plant because it's like to scale. But they let me wander Kew Gardens with the shrew, so I was like, we'll see what we can do with it. And it ended up being this. I edited this in one night. They didn't know what they were getting. I did the voice, which apparently I can do. So
It's a great voice. I mean, it really works. And speaking of the voice, we have a very important question on the chat. Jack is asking, did the shrew do its own sound effects? Technically it did, because you were the shrew, right?
I was the shrew. So
there it is.
I think I must have learned how to do that from Lilo and Stitch when I was a kid.
What was that, Lilo's voice? It's been ages since I've seen that. Was it kind of sound like it?
It's like
Stitch.
Nobody gets left behind. Like that kind of thing. It's just I can't enunciate as well.
There's a part of me that's like, we have to do this live stream in this shrew voice for the rest of it, but I won't torture you that way. But it's such a good voice. I think the chat loves it. We're getting a lot of LOLs, a lot of praise. So yes, great
I
shrew
literally
voice.
had barely any revisions, which was great. So because this could have gone either way. This could have been like
home run.
This is the wrong direction. But like, yeah, it went very well. I'm just going to mute the audio tracks for a moment so I can take you through it a little bit. Oh, this is a different short. So this is actually one of the other shorts what we filmed. It's like
You should
not relevant.
never touch a Venus flytrap.
But like we filmed a lot of carnivorous plants. I remembered to talk about it. We also highlighted those. They were very traditional shorts to promote the wider video. What was it? YouTube trailer. Right, so this one. Zoom. So I used a couple, so when I was thinking of this video, my first thought was it has to be an epic quest. It has to be a big journey. It has to feel like it could be a very bad trailer for like Lord of the Rings or something like that. So I went and watched so many like adventure trailers, like stuff that's not remotely connected. And I was like, okay, what tropes are in these? So that was the first thought, was how do I do that and how do I build this? So the first thing I built was the voiceover, followed by everything I wanted to add into it, and then slowly brought the vision together through knowing what tropes I wanted to bring into it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think I definitely got the epic vibe from it. I think the music had a lot to do with it. I'm sure you'll get into that, but I got like Christopher Nolan, like Dark Knight vibes, you know? Like this. I
watched that one. I was like, color grading has to be moody to the best of my ability. I was like, cross dissolves are actually something I don't use in my workflow that much, because unless you're really trying to show a passage of time or trauma, I don't think they look good on most edits. In my personal opinion, I think you're better off cutting to something or covering it with B-roll. But here, I was like, I know I have to show a mountain because otherwise there is no context for where the shrew lives. And it would look weirdly epic and add to that. So I think this is like an Adobe stock picture or something.
That's hilarious. I didn't even catch the mountain at first.
Yeah, so like it shows the mountain range coming in, dissolving that through, and passage of time of him on the quest. And I was like, this is actually a time I can use cross dissolves. I very rarely use those. I'm always looking for a way in any edit to use weird dissolves anyway, and wipes and transitions. Like I'm still trying to find a good star wipe moment somewhere, but I will. I'll get
Yeah,
there.
I was thinking Star Wars is notorious for that. It's like this epic space opera, and it's got the most like bizarre like
circle wipes. I actually use those in corporate quite frequently because they work with logos. But I do like to use a good transition every now and again. I think otherwise, and then fade to blacks for a moment of drama. So I wanted to incorporate that trope, which is why this exists here, and that goes back to it like a doof. Yeah. Sound effects also big part of this. I'll go into that in a bit. But that was kind of how I was trying to build it out. And then I was like, okay, at one point, I think it was like 1 a.m, and I couldn't like animate. So I picked up some Mogrts. Mogrts? I always get this wrong.
It's like tomato. I've heard Mogrts. I mean, it's, same thing.
I always get it wrong with my accent, but so I have to assume it's Mogurt.
But yeah, I say Mogurt, but I mean, what did you say, Mogurt?
Mogurt. It's like yogurt. I think that's where it goes.
That's actually really funny. I had a buddy refer to these on a live stream as motion yogurts. I was like, I can't ever not call him that. It's like, yeah, we just fire up a motion yogurt. I'm like, do you mean a Mogurt?
And you know that's something he probably didn't want to say out loud, and then it was like, that's what I call them back in my head. Yeah. I do that all the time. So that's actually what this is. This is something quick. I think I found one in Vado or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it did like 90% of the work for me. So I was like, great, because I knew I wanted to do that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to go into it because honestly, this one's not well built, and it does freeze my computer. Okay. But it was also thinking about that. The other one I used was meant to look a bit, I was like, what other ones, films, TV shows, especially like British people, what will people think of like a journey? And I thought Doctor Who, and Adobe stock of all things has, where is it? This was an Adobe stock title that was just in the essential graphics panel for free, I think.
Nice. That's good to know. That's a pretty cool title. I like what it's doing. That's good that it's for free. There's just so many assets.
Yeah, it was, I think it was.
Yeah.
So I was like, because I actually really like the essential graphics stock tab quite a lot. It saved me a couple of times where I'm like, I need a map or something. So I went through and did that. I also was like, okay, how can I make something look more epic? I love using black and white when I can in my edits. So we went through and I went through and tried to pick moments, and as it ramps up, that audio ramps up to like peak tension, as it were. For this poor shrew that needs a bathroom.
Classic, like, bong,
It goes suddenly black and white, also because honestly, I needed the title to stand out. And then I used crumpled paper overlays. I love using textures on, sometimes I'll rotoscope to like, so the person doesn't have it, but the background does. And I love doing things like that. So I do that quite frequently. And
were those just still images that you kind of just played for a second or two, like back to back? The crumpled paper.
I think I went and found again on another stock website where someone's already put like 4 or 5 textures together.
So it was a video then. Got it.
Yeah,
okay. That makes things easier.
Just to save me a little bit, and then I added some grain. But otherwise, I would have just picked 4 or 5 and changed it every few frames.
We do have a question. Stian is asking, do you film in this format or do you film in a more classic format? Let me know if we need a little more context on that question. Yeah.
I think what they're asking is like, did I film vertical or not?
I see. Yeah. Oh, like 16:9 native as opposed to like optimized for 9:16.
Yeah. So this is actually like, is there a way to mute all the tracks? I've never used it.
You can solo a track. Oh no, but you want them all down, right?
Yeah. No, I want them all down.
Yeah, there is that the final mix? I think that was
Yeah,
the
that's the final
SFX one
mix.
you did.
Maybe.
Okay.
Oh,
You
you're
can
right.
also, do you see how there's 0, 0 under track 8?
Oh, that worked. That worked.
There
Fine.
we go. Okay, cool. Excellent.
Um, I always know in the back of my head this is probably it, but I've just so rarely
Mm-hmm.
do something like that. But basically, this is a much, 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 much longer video, 10 minutes, for kids. So like young audience, even on TV, I think our episodes are only about 10 to 15 minutes. So like we film horizontally. I just have in my monitors, I can see when something is, what's the word? Has like a,
Vertical or an overlay that's like 9 by
yes, that's the
16?
one. Thank you. It has like an
Okay. Is it
overlay
an
where
asset or do you have like tape on your monitor?
it's literally inside the monitor itself, so I can tap it and it
Oh,
shows
that's
me
pretty
that
cool.
overlay. So I like I can
right on.
check if she fits or if she's like if I've gone in too close. And it's really weird because we film 4K as well for this reason, because sometimes the wide shots feel too wide when you go back into horizontal footage. Whereas like I like to be a little closer. It makes her feel like she's talking to the kids. And also like for these shrew shots, that's great. Oh, see, sucker wipe. I'm always
I
trying to
saw
find a
it.
way.
There it was. Yeah, that's a great point. It's 4K I think was kind of this big thing a couple years ago, but now storage is so cheap. I mean, I'm like, if you have a camera that can do it and you have computers that can do it, I recommend shooting in 4K because it gives you that flexibility, right? Like I've definitely shot some things where I'm like,
Absolutely.
that looks a little too wide, but it's 4K and I'm exporting at 1080, so I can definitely punch in and it looks great.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for a time. I'm hoping it doesn't change too much where I can get like native 6 or 8K on my camera quite affordably. And then like I
8K.
can
Oh
export in 4K
man.
because at the moment I tend to export in 1080 just for the flexibility, but then it also looks really good because it's down-resed. So
Yes, that's another thing is if you're working on a 1080 timeline, but you shot in 4K and you bring it down, then it's just gonna look crispier. I've done tests. There's plenty of YouTube videos that show that it just looks better footage. But that's if you're exporting at 1080. If you're exporting at 4K, then that's a different story. But do you
yeah,
find yourself
yeah.
exporting too much at 4K assets? I mean, different clients, different strokes, I guess.
For digital, not really. It's only ever for broadcast. So when it's for broadcast, I know I'm locked in, and this was digital based for the most part.
Yeah.
So I was fine with this one. But like for broadcast, like if you're working with a streamer, they're gonna want 4K. Like that's just, it is what it is. They're gonna want. So we were
Makes
shooting
sense.
something recently that I was like, they have maybe 20% wiggle room to zoom it before it looks like trash. So I have to be on it filming. Whereas like this kind of thing, I'm like, oh, it's a bit wide. That's fine.
Yeah. And what are you shooting
Fix
on,
it in
Mandy?
post.
What do you shoot? What camera are you using?
I use 2 cameras. The one I have myself, because I rent the other one, is I have a Sony A7S Mark III, because I bought that and then they released the FX3 and I just didn't have the heart to trade it in then, and now it's like too late. So I'm just waiting for the FX2 to drop, FX3 Mark II to drop at some point in the next year, and then I'll probably move to that.
And when you're renting, are you renting the big boys, I guess? Like
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes it's like the FX, sometimes I'll just pick up an FX3 if I need it, or
it's a great camera.
FX6s I've rented. I've used an FX9 once. I have not yet got my hands on an Ari, and I would love to. It's just I've also never had a reason recently, to be honest.
There's also the UI in the cameras, it's like if you know the Sony ecosystem and you have a Sony, then usually the menu items just translate to the Sony FX one, so it's easier. You're like quicker on the field. That's one of my things.
Absolutely.
I think I've used the Ari once and I just did not know how to navigate it. I was like an assistant camera, but I shoot a lot of Canon, so usually like on set I'll rent like something like a cinema Canon. It used to be C300s when I used to shoot a lot.
I started on C300s in broadcast.
Yeah, this is years ago, but
and
my
the
personal ones are
C100 and the
mostly-
C200, all of
C100, yeah, I don't even know what they're up to now. But anyways,
I think it's like still that, but Mark something,
Mark
and then also like a
7, I don't
C70
know.
or something. Small form. Anyway, we're distracted by the cameras.
I know we can nerd out on gear all day.
But yeah, we just like it. Also, this is like when I work with Maddie, my goals are I need to be able to stabilize it, which means I'm probably on a gimbal all day because these are very run and gun. We're in factories, we have set shots, and we have to just like run up. They're usually huge, these places. She has never taken me anywhere. It's like, oh, we're only walking around this room for a day. Uh, it's like one of them was like the largest glass factory in the country, and it's huge. So
Sounds big.
I'm like, gimbal setup, small camera, must be able to do good colors, 4K, be good in low light, be good in like, basically needs a huge dynamic range because you just never know. Sometimes we're just next to fire. So that has happened, or it's next to chocolate and a bright light, and those two things are such high contrast. So like for editing reasons, I'm always thinking of that. I'm always looking at 422 10-bit, that kind of thing. And giving myself the most wiggle room I can. At one point, I wasn't even filming in log because it had to go to someone else very quickly for socials, which was annoying, and they didn't know how to grade. So now we don't need to because the person, her name's Alex, is amazing, so she's great. Yeah, we work that way. I shoot horizontally. I try and I will change the crop of those shots in post if they look a bit too wide, but it means that we can shoot something that works in both vertical and horizontal. So there's a lot of B-roll shots here that I used in the trailer.
Yeah, that's a big one to think I highlight. I think when you obviously a lot of people want 9:16 vertical format, but if you shoot horizontal, you have the option to do both. But if you shoot vertical, then you can't really go 16:9. So I always play it safe too, and for like. And I'll have clients that want lifestyle shoots and everything 16:9 4K, because then from there you can crop in or do a 9:16 like vertical from that 4K one. So
exactly,
yeah,
it's
you
don't really need 4K on a phone because it just gets compressed and looks like trash anyway. So you have to make sure it's exported in 1080. It's the whole thing, especially with YouTube Shorts. I don't like YouTube Shorts because it's very weird if it's like a frame over a minute. It's like, well, that's a long form video and we're not putting it into shorts, so you end up having to like re-export and re-upload. A frame, like literally a frame.
Wow.
I had done 59.1 or something accidentally on the hour, and I had to send her a new copy that was one frame shorter.
Oh my goodness.
So
what
not
poor
a fan
friend got
of
the
shorts.
cut? Was it at the intro, or just some random scene?
It's just the text. But like the thing about that though is it should be smart enough to know that this is a vertical piece of content that's needed, like obviously for shorts, but it's like no, this is now a horizontal video of black bars, so that's why I don't like shorts. But yeah, so like you can even see sometimes where I've shot for the potential of vertical because they tend to have more headroom. And actually, I opened up this project because a lot of people don't know that this exists. Like Adobe have built-in templates for social media, and they put them in a year ago, I think.
This is big. Yeah. Someone on Adobe Live highlighted this, and it actually taught me it. I was like, I didn't know that we did that, because it's. I think this is really cool to highlight. So how do we even get to this?
When you import. I think not import, sorry, when you go to the home, one of these buttons, unless it's frozen.
Oh no.
Oh no.
Did the overlays crash out? It's all right, we can do a quick restart.
Yeah, let's give it a second. Maybe a second? No. You know what is really funny? This software never crashes on me unless I'm on a live.
It's the live stream.
Absolutely
Maybe
never.
it's the tools we're using on the production that it doesn't like. Here, what? You can go ahead and
Oh
just
wait,
restart.
it seems okay now, no?
Yeah.
Cancel.
Just the
Let's see if
import
you're good
tab.
now. No.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
give it a
save.
little
Let's just save
save
this.
and we'll do it. In the meantime, I'll have a look
back.
at the chat.
Come back.
We got some new friends joining us. We got Ray. Ray, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. We're here with Mandy Celine, and we're creating a comical 1 minute or less YouTube short. We kind of watched it at the beginning. It's for Maddie Moate, who does educational, adventurous content for kids audience, and it's very, very funny. I laughed. Okay, cool. So we got Premiere fired back up.
So usually you can like do a whole new project. It's freezing again, isn't it? You can go new project. It'll take you to this menu. There is a billion ways to get there. And when you go to project template, it's already built in
There it is.
to Premiere, which is like my favorite thing. So you just click this one that says social media template project. Let's click it and make a new one, I guess, called entitled somewhere. And then that's how you get these. And it comes also with 2 caption styles already. I'm clicking too fast. There we go. Bold and like there's a bold one and a subtle one, and I'm pretty like they're just white and black and white basically. Very simple, but you basically got all your templates for vertical on almost any social media that's
super
relevant
useful
right now. Some are less relevant than others, but we like you can get it's true though. So you have your Instagram reels and like your TikTok verticals, and it's great because you can see the potential of like your video being responsive and being cut off, because people don't really think about it. Even if they shoot vertical, they're like, this whole thing will be in, and that's just not true on most platforms. It usually cuts it down a little bit.
And it's different phones, right? So it's good to have that safe zone, because it depends on the phone that you're watching. Sometimes the phone will show a little more of the video or it'll show a little less, but regardless, this overlay shows you the area that all phones will show. That's why they kind of give that padding on the ends, because I've definitely had some where I uploaded and I looked at it like on an iPhone 12 mini and then on my partner's phone, which was bigger, and I'm like, wait, I have stuff on the edge that I want to show, but it's getting cut off. So it's better just to kind of downsize it a little bit and give it that like title safe padding on the edges.
I used to think I had till here, and then it would be like my text was on the edge.
Yeah, and then even the overlays where like Instagram puts or TikTok, they'll put the text on it. I've definitely rendered videos and uploaded them and be like, great, the text like covers the stuff that I'm looking at, or like these little overlays. So this is big. If you're, we're living in the world of social content creation, these will save you a lot of times and obviously optimize your video for these platforms. So
it's so good. I literally, sometimes I will open one of these up and just drag the overlay to a current project just to check it. Which I think I do it all the time. I just go into here and I'll be like, I don't know, this trailer, put it here. We'll make a whole new, put it just up here. And then I can see what's being cut off, because it's done in a way that, it goes over your footage, which is really, really cool. I've always appreciated this. And also, one of my best friends today put out a video where the text got cut off by his face in the profile picture, and it made his caption say something completely different. It was like, give me your stag face or something, and it was going to be, give me your stage face. And I was so afraid. I was like, stag.
That's funny. Yeah. So these overlays are big. Using people. They're definitely saving the world of social media world.
Yeah. And like here, I think I moved one of the styles in so I can show you in a minute how I made those like bubbly looking captions. Because I think a lot of people forget you can do your captions for social on Premiere. So if you don't if you want them hard coded into footage before you've uploaded them anywhere, you can just do it in here. It has the software to transcribe. You can fix things up, make sure the spelling's accurate, because a lot of auto generators need to be corrected. I know that because of my Instagram story, I spent ages making sure that it said the word behance, not behaunts for some reason.
Behance.
Today.
Yeah.
So we did that. But yeah, where was I? I think I was just going through and showing the difference. And we also, here's the thing though, we shot some macro shots for there it is. I can see it. That were really tight, but I had to make sure the thing was in focus would also work in 16:9, which just meant that the focus we had was just insane. So to make it look pretty. But I am proud of that one because that plant is like this big.
Yeah, what lens you use for that? That's some pretty sharp for something that small.
Yeah, I used the 80mm macro lens. That's a 1.8, I think.
Nice. And it's a prime one, I assume.
Yeah. And
cool.
You have to stabilize it. You just have to.
Yeah, I imagine it doesn't have IS built into the lens. Like you have a gimbal, right? So
yeah, I had the gimbal, but even then, because it's such these plants are like this big, and if I was racking focus across the plant to give it some visual interest, because they're plants, they don't really move. So the most interesting one to actually film B-roll of was the Venus flytrap, and even then I had to ask permission because you're not meant to like close them, but they had 200 of them in just like the nursery bit we were in, and I was like, can I close 5 of them? Just 5.
Just 5.
Because they can die in theory if you do it too much, so I had to do 5 separate ones. Whole thing that you learn these weird things on these weird jobs. I learned how chocolate was made and all sorts.
It's pretty cool
but yeah,
gigs.
so like you can
You're
see,
like learning with Maddie Moate. That's very fun.
I learn along with her.
Yeah, you learn with her. That's such a cool gig.
Yeah, so we have like all the bugs it eats, but I'm trying to find, so like even these shots, all the B-rolls of the shrew out to make sure they were wide enough. This plant eats mice. Fun fact.
Wow.
Like it had a mouse in it. So
Oh, it already had one in there. I guess it falls in, right? And then it slowly gets digested.
in nature it falls in. In somewhere like Kew Gardens, I think they find a dead mouse in a trap.
And they just put it in there.
Probably put it in there.
Cool.
But
Do you want to
yeah,
give you a
so
quick
that-
time check, Mandy? We got about 30 minutes left, so we're about halfway through.
Oh, so fast. Okay, so before I go on to like the demo, and the demo I want to do is with the captions for sure. I just want to quickly talk about why sound effects really, really matter and the pacing of music for this kind of thing. Because sometimes I think sound effects can get forgotten about because it is an additional step where you've got to like figure out what's needed and what's not and what's missing.
But it's so big. I'd argue that's kind of what separates like the pro videos from the starter videos, right? Is sound design. Sound
I
design
think
is
so.
so big.
It's so big, and I wish I actually was watching this back and I was like, I wish I put more like scurrying in the plants and bushes, but I literally had an evening essentially to do this, and I was tired, so I did what I could. So if I keep the music muted, I think this is the sound effects. Yeah, this has some sound effects here especially towards the end, because it's
Great sound
little things
effects.
like that.
That's little things.
Just little things.
Just little things.
It was just important to get in bits there, or just like to add drama, because that's not in the music. So it's like making sure you have those things when you can. If I had all day, I would have like completely soundtracked this so much more and had like the wind of the mountains in the background and the scurrying of leaves. But the main things for me were to make sure I hit the beat of drama, and also remind that this is a piece about a plant that's a toilet for shrews, and to have a little bit of humor in there. So we did that.
Yeah.
And I think it's quite important. What was the last bit? This is also, yeah, it's kind of like just making sure you have like some grandiose something happening instead. And then the other sound effects that are involved were all to do with the sound itself. So it's like, how can you enhance what you have? So I feel like I did a lot of like reverb on certain words with an echo and a fade out. So, oh, I muted it. My bad.
Smacks.
So like it feels
Okay, yeah, I was
grander.
gonna ask for an example of that, but that really highlights it, the reverb and kind of the echo. It kind of goes with the
Yeah, I did
humor of
it-
it too, you know, the general vibe of this video. It's a good effect.
Yeah, I think it works where like it's not the
It
whole
does.
thing. It's just a little bit to make it feel like he's screaming into the void.
Luxury!
Which is that's very hard, by the way, to say big.
that's so
And it was 2 a.m. and I was recording it, and my husband was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, I was trying to go back from the mic and everything to try and like, and then blow that up. So that like, I always try and like tell people like you can enhance your edits with just little things very quickly, just to up the production a bit more, because instead of just leaving it as it was. I think that goes
We got a question. Let's see. Ray's asking, can you use custom fonts in Premiere Pro or just those in Adobe fonts? Yes, you can use your own
you totally
custom
can,
fonts.
and I think that brings us to
yeah,
the
great
caption
segue.
workflow I did.
Mm-hmm.
So I went through, I transcribed it. I will say the transcription had a little bit of an issue with my voice, and I don't blame it because it's hard to talk in that
Doesn't
voice, so
understand
I had to
shrew.
go through.
Yeah, it's a new
Yeah, I
language
was
for
talking
it.
shrew.
You were
you
talking
know?
shrew.
It's talking shrew. So I went through it, I corrected it, and I knew I wanted this to feel social and what kids are used to, especially because this is more aimed currently at like Gen Alpha more than anyone. I feel like Gen Z are a bit old for this. So, but you know, like I think Alpha is between 0 and 12 right now.
I was gonna
So
ask what generation. I don't know what age is what. I know Gen Z is it's the teens, right? Like
I think they
12
are
to
like, but they're like the 13-year-olds to 20.
yeah.
No, it can't. It's got to be older, right? Because Gen
All right,
Z
what's a
ends
quick
at
Google?
27, 28.
Let's see. Gen
And
Z
then,
is like
and I know that because I'm
97
millennial.
to 2000. I'm a millennial too. Yeah, okay. So then Alpha, they're the real young ones, like 0 to 10.
Yeah, 10. I thought it was like 12, 13. Because
Oh,
I
you
think
might be
my
right.
little brother is a Gen Z because he's 23. There's a big age gap between me and my brother. But yeah, so this is like, that means beta starts next year. Fun fact. But yeah, so we're looking at kids, and I was like, okay, so they're used to one at the time. I'm sure this trend is changing slightly, actually. I've noticed it. But there was a big trend, especially the first half of this year, of captions 1 to 2 words. I personally like a 3 to 5, but 1 to 2 words. Short, punchy. I recommend not all caps if you are trying to be more conscious of more inclusivity, I guess, because some people, especially non-native English speakers, find it harder to read actually in all caps. So I keep that in mind. I can't say that I did. No, that's why it's in lowercase here. So that's part of the reason. And then captions workflow. So you go to your essential graphics panel. Once you click a little button up here, that's usually the CC. I've already done it. Turn it to subtitles. You get your little subtitles down here. Let's go to, yep, that's the first one.
Yep.
I'm just going to zoom in so I can see it.
I like how that
Yep,
one is not in the center, it's just kind of like a like a little subtle position, kind of goes with the whole design of the scene.
Believe it or not, that's actually, I think, Adobe's native style for
Is center left.
Yeah, it's like they do center left, which is really nice. I tend to move up to just above the head typically.
Yeah, I usually go kind of top middle, like in
or
that area.
dead middle, because like it's usually just chest. So it's either top head or dead middle. So we have our captions workflow. I'm using the track style Adobe gave me. I have made Maddie's Texas style because there's no way I'm not using that again. But to make your own style, very easy to do. So firstly, it's like, where are you going to position it? Do we want it here? Do we want it here? I think this is too high, and I know it's too high. If we want to use those templates, which I don't think is on this one, it would show you it was too high. So you can go through and adjust that by just simply clicking below. Something I always personally love to do is I like to switch on the safety margins button. I don't think people use this enough. I should make a whole video about this. I've been
Can you show
about
that
it for
again?
years.
Our cams were kind of just covering us, but I moved us. There it is. Okay,
That's fine down here. Yeah, there's a button here. It's the safety margins button. If you don't see it, you can just click on the plus sign. It'll bring up this menu and you can drag that over. It's already there though. So, okay. And basically this shows you what is known as safety margins or broadcast guidelines. One is a title zone and one is the action zone. Title zone is this one here in the middle. Come on. There we go. This one here in the middle kind of thing, this inside box. And then the outside one is for action. So you basically, you want to make sure your action on screen is within that typically. The reason for the title being the smaller one is actually so it's responsive. And if you watch, these used to be like a really weird shape like 10 years ago, because I still think they were doing for 4:3 in a lot of televisions and a lot of online. So it's literally 2014. I think it changed on most shows, if you look, because that's why all the credits in the beginning of shows are like here.
Mm-hmm.
And I always notice it because I'm like, they had the 4:3 broadcast guidelines.
That's why 4:3.
That's why. So I always make sure, even if I don't have, say, that Adobe overlay, you can click this and be like, oh, people are going to see this regardless if it's in the middle there. If it's not covering anything, great. So I would just play around and see how you like this, like around here. That's easily done. We've got that all set. Love that for us. So next I'm going to change the font. Maddie's font is bolder. If I spell it right. Did I spell it right? Oh. It really, oh, I have it on my computer. Let's try Van. Let's see if Van, there we go. It's Bolden. I did spell it wrong. Which is this very kind of blocky, fun, not quite a Comic Sans, not quite a serif kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, loving that. So, but now we need to make it more her own. It's a bit small, I think. So I always try and make it a bit bigger. 100 seems like a nice round number. Let's go there. And now we're going to do the colors. Now, I'm personally, unless it's animated, which isn't something you can do quite yet, I believe, on Adobe, unless it's like popping quick. I don't like backgrounds. I just not a big fan of backgrounds like this on Caption. I like to emphasize in a different way. So I'm just going to switch the background off. Now we can't see it at all. So let's make that text white. Now, if this goes on white, we're not going to be able to see it. We can do two things. We can either do a shadow or a stroke. And I like the Premiere strokes a lot because you can, they added a year ago, you can do like a double stroke or a triple stroke or something ridiculous. Like you can just keep adding colors. So I tend to play with that. I know that the color green I wanted to use for this is, I've saved the color code for speed because I wanted it to feel a bit like the green of the environment. We were in a very green warehouse. So green, what I change these colors every now and again, and then I'll just play with the stroke, as it were, till it looks good. You can play with it also here by changing if it goes on the inside of the letter, on the outside. I like center personally. Yeah, and if you wanted to add more, you can add more. So I would probably go to that green, but then make it lighter. It's kind of how I tend to operate, something like that.
Yeah, it looks fun. Very kid-friendly, you know, inviting.
Kid-friendly. I want to give it a bit more yellow or something and then be a bit more white. Something like, maybe a bit more yellow. Fun. Yeah, something like that. And then like, that's pretty much how I do her captions if I'm trying to do something fun where it stands out. That might not work for every scenario. So maybe you're like, I'll have the one, we'll do the other. But I know no matter what that text is going to stand out because, you know, there's contrast between a darker color and a lighter color. And that's, I'm just trying to make sure it's legible for an audience. Now, when you have done that, you've done one, you don't want to repeat that process to every single caption. You just don't. So what I do, my arrow, please. I will make a track style, which is what I did earlier. So we're just going to use the one I made earlier. But if you want to make a track style, you just click this plus, click create style and name your style. And you can save it either to Premiere now, or you can save it to the project itself.
Could you just show real quick how to do that? Just do like test style just so people can see how to make it. Yeah. Sure.
I'm not going to save it further than the project.
Yeah, test. Yeah, just the project. Okay. And then from there, you have the option to bring that in. There
if I wanted to, absolutely.
If you wanted to. Mm-hmm.
So
that's because you're right. Now it just goes against the whole track. So you don't have to do it for every single block of text, which is super, super easy.
Not quite yet. There's just one more button you have to press. So once you've done the one, you want to go to redefine style.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to say all your captions on track. Now, if you actually update this and change the color of it, you can click update my style and update the captions. But now that we've done that, text is a bit too high. What happened there? Well, sometimes it does that. But
That's me.
It happens. I will say I do notice that the captions workflow doesn't always, like, sometimes it misreads where I place things. So all I would do again is I would go through and be like, okay, let's check that for sure. Is something else going on? No, 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 no. Great. Push through to all my captions on track. Has it done it? No, it's not going to do it. Well, that's usually what I do.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask if you updated that to the styles. It looks like you did. So there it is. Looks like
There
it's
it is.
doing it. Boom.
Yeah. So yeah, I actually brought this one lower than I remembered. But I usually watch it through and see if I can bring it as low as I can without. You gots to. That is kind of my caption workflow. And I do this a lot for a lot of client shorts because a lot of clients don't want to add the captions themselves. A couple do, but generally not really wanted to do that. And on this one, I did the double stroke and it kind of makes it its own little graphic. So that's fine. I did bring that one in, make it a graphic template, and that meant I can add effects onto it. And that's kind of all you have to do that. I think you just, if I remember, you can turn this into, upgrade caption to graphic. And if you do that to your captions, you can then animate them.
Yeah, cool pro tip.
Yeah. So a few people don't know about that still because they're ever evolving workflows. So that is how I kind of do my shorts for Maddie. And I didn't do the captions on this one because they wanted to try out something else on her side. But yeah, it's very easy and simple.
Nice. Cool. We got about 15 more minutes before we wrap it up. Anything else that we wanted to kind of highlight with this video? Or in the chat, if there's something that you saw, let us know. But yeah, Maddie, let's go with yours for now. And then maybe if the chat chimes in, we can also show that if there's time.
That's great. So one of my favorite features, I go on about this a lot, is if you look at my music, it looks like one track, and it technically is one track, but I used the audio remix tool. Now I'm just going to find the track. It's my favorite. Reveal in project, show me that song. I'm going to drag it. I'm going to give it its own track. Thank you. And move it along. So this song is actually really, 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 really long. And I edit to music. Like when I have an idea, I need to know when I'm putting in those beats. So especially this one, if I have something quick to do, I'm going to be like, I need this to be a minute. It needs to already be a minute. How can I make that happen? Well, I use the remix tool. So I'm going to mute this song to begin with. And then the remix tool, if you just hold, I tend to long press it. I think you could just click it, but I think through force of habit, I long press and then go to the remix tool. You can also build a shortcut for this. And then you just literally drag it to roughly how long you want it to be. So you can test it around a minute, see how it turns out. Seems to be thinking, seems to be doing it. It's doing it quite fast. Yeah. So that's still a bit too long, maybe, for this one. Or maybe I think, you know what I did? I think I cut the top off because it was boring. I'm pretty sure all I did was I kept cutting it down. Yeah, I had to remember that. This one's a bit different, actually. But yeah, this one's got less cuts in it. But it was as simple as that. And it's just kind of playing with that tool, which saved me hours.
I remember the days when this tool didn't exist and you would have to listen to a track and then try and match the cut to another part of the section and doing it. And yes, you're not kidding. I mean, that used to take hours. And it was still, I feel like I was never really satisfied. You know, there was still something that I could know and then people might not, but I could know. This tool just, blows my mind.
And it's like, even stems, a lot of music libraries will give you stems these days, but sometimes they're still like, all the drums are together. So you don't get to separate the drums out. And whereas this kind of makes it work. Yeah. Really works. I found out the way I tested this feature when it first came out was with Old Town Road by Lil Nas X.
By Lil Nas.
So It does a phenomenal job with that song. Just FYI, for some reason, really, really got that. But that's one of my favorite tools that's ever come out. And I love AI tools that make your job easier. Like they're not taking away from the creativity. They're just like, oh, that's it.
Yeah, that's a big one, and it kind of goes back to like the time that we spend on projects. Is that's just something that we need to do to keep going with the project, and this AI assisted tool essentially just does that for us, so we could just keep on chugging along and focusing on like the more meaty, creative parts of the project. So yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, like the transcribe feature. Like, I usually will personally, I'm the kind of editor that needs someone else to read whatever it's done to double check it, because I'm very dyslexic, and that's why I decided to work in pictures and not like text. But you know, the world evolves, and now text is a big part of it all.
I love the feature too where it can remove pauses in speech. So, you know, people that are breathing or, you know, even filler words, it can detect them and get rid of them. And it's, again, that's something I used to do manually. It's, you know, every second counts with social media. You want to make things short and snappy, and cutting out those like breaths or those snaps. I mean, that adds up over the course of a video, and you could just do that in a couple of clicks now.
I think we use that a lot with the two streams of like people we work with. That has been the best feature for is creators by far, and then corporate people who are not used to cameras. So
they're not,
because you get lots of pauses and filler words and like stares of fear.
There's a phenomenal video that kind of went viral where this guy's doing real estate or something, and the caption's like, I asked my like Gen Z coworker to make an edit for me, but she ended up trolling him, where the whole video was just him like taking breaths. So it's like this stuff. Yeah, so it's just a video of him going like, you know, and it just went viral because it was just like an amazing troll. But yeah, she just like ended up flipping it. It's like, instead of cutting that out, that's all the video was. So yeah, it's the same thing. He was doing a lot of that.
Yeah, I've definitely done supercuts to clients where because some people have it's not quite a tick, but it's a very particular word that they start sentences. Like I think I have which I need to stop, and I know it happens. Some people have so you end up with like a super mix of so that you've cut out from every beginning of every sentence. Or now is another one that's quite common. Now. So
I use that, and when I do tutorial videos, I notice I say boom a lot. So I had the super code like boom, 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 and I'm like, man, I gotta tone down on the booms. It's like, yeah, you got these things.
Yeah, when I do tutorials, it's next. We're gonna next. I was like, I need to find a thesaurus.
Yeah. So. Okay, Mandy, we have about maybe 2 minutes left. Is there something else we wanted to show real quick? Oh yeah, these hour shows are snappy. Boom.
So snappy. I was just gonna kind of reveal the sound, how I did it. It's pretty accurate and the same as what I had before.
I used to just be like every other shrew in the mountain range, you know, building some stuff, walking on some stuff.
Yeah, that's the same. So yeah, I don't know why it looks a bit different, but it's probably towards the end where the beats are a bit different. But like, it kept all that. Loved that for me, so I had that. And then otherwise, I was happy to like answer any questions. I usually leave a couple of minutes for questions when I'm building out these classes, so I may have just not left enough.
Yeah, no questions, just a lot of comments praising it.
Oh, thank you.
Wait, did you just do the shrew voice?
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. I was like, wait, was that the video, or did you actually say that?
I said thank you, and I think you heard the shrew voice.
I think I did, or maybe you play. I could have sworn I heard we were like, thank you. That's funny. Shauna saying thanks. I learned a lot. So yeah, very
great. Otherwise, yeah, like I just wanted to show you how different the safety margins as well are on a vertical video. They do adjust and change depending on, like, they're not always vertical, just in case, because some people may not have seen them before. So that's what they look like on a horizontal.
Yeah, so 16 by 9, 9 by 16, they do change. It looks like they're dynamic based on what you're editing. So very helpful to know.
The square one looks different, and all sorts. And I think that was me done, other than like the templates. Kind of, that's where I was trying to find one. There we go. Like that, different on Instagram, different on a square, just kind of what I think everyone, including YouTubers, should adhere to safety margins, because my biggest pet peeve with digital content is when subtitles are below them here and then a menu or a player pops up and I can't read them. No point in having them then, in my opinion.
That's a big one.
Big one
Very
for
cool.
me.
Well, with that amazing pro tip, we're going to go ahead and end this show because it is about that time. So thank you everybody so much for joining us. We got a lot of praise in the chat. People found it very informative. We got Key saying thank you. Jack saying thank you. Ray, many things. Very informative. So again, thank you all for joining us. Don't go anywhere because we have a express session coming up. Or no, sorry, it's a spotlight. But we have more Adobe Live content coming up. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be back in about 5 minutes. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in and stick around. Bye, everybody.
Bye.